Iran's public prosecutor says the country has shut down its so-called morality police, but local media has pushed back against the comments, saying the Interior Ministry oversees the force and not the judiciary. Iran has been rocked by months of protests, sparked by the death of a young woman in police custody. She was arrested allegedly for not wearing her hijab properly. The demonstrations, now in their third month, are the biggest challenge to the regime in decades. And protesters are calling for a 3-day strike this week.
The 1979 Islamic Revolution changed the course of Iran. Authorities started monitoring the adherence of the strict dress code. Wearing the hijab hair covering became mandatory in 1983. Over the years, Iran saw several forms of morality police. But the morality police, known as Gashte-Irshad or Guidance Patrol, was established under the hardline former president Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Under former President Hassan Rouhani, clothing norms became slightly relaxed. But Iran's current president, Ibrahim Raisi, wanted a strict implementation of the dress code. In September, 22-year-old Jina Mahsa Amini died 3 days after being taken into custody by the morality police in Tehran. Her alleged crime was not properly covering her head. Her death sparked unprecedented protests across the country. Iranians demanded an end to the morality police. They also called for a change of the strict Islamic regime.
I trembled when I heard the news because this has happened to me once or twice. It made me think of how my parents would feel if I suffered the same fate.
I'm strongly against the morality police because it is not possible to enforce a cultural issue with violence.
After nearly 2 months of protests in which hundreds of people have been killed, the Iranian regime has signaled some flexibility.
Iran's republic and Islamic foundations are constitutionally entrenched, but there are methods of implementing the constitution that can be flexible.
Iran now says it is disbanding the morality police and is also debating the implementation of the headscarf law.
We're joined now by Sarah Bazubandi. She's a fellow at the German Institute in Global and Area Studies, GIGA. Sarah, welcome to DW. So what do you make of the public prosecutor's announcement that Iran's morality police is being disbanded?
I don't know if this is, as your report mentioned, something to preempt the what is about to happen if there is a mass protest take place in the next 3 days, or it's just a simple slip of the tongue and he didn't really think about what he said and it was right on the spot on a press conference. But in either case, I believe that the protesters struggle to find anything positive or meaningful in response to their demands, because they have been very clear from the beginning of the protests that they are asking for a regime change. They're not asking for a removal of headscarf. They're not asking for abolishment of the morality police. They want fundamental political change. They want separation of state and religion. And hijab is only one element of that separation. So and even if that was to happen, what he mentioned, the law hasn't changed. So it really still, the law is there. Implementation might change temporarily, but it doesn't really make much of a difference.
Sarah, would you say it's a sign, though, of some sort that the authorities are willing to heed the protesters' demands?
Well, yes and no. I think there is a certain level of anxiety amongst the political elite because, as again the report mentioned, this is one of the biggest challenges since the revolution that the elite is facing. Of course, there is an effort to find some response to calm the public down, but at the same time, I don't think that there is at this stage this can make much of a difference as far as the public is concerned. So maybe the authorities in their own way think that they are providing some form of temporary measures to just calm the public down, but fundamentally it is not really a response, because this is not what the people are asking for. It's as simple as that.
Now, some are sceptical about the announcement. Will the morality police come back under another name or a uniform, or are we just going to basically not see much of a change in that sense?
As long as the law is there, as I mentioned, the implementation might change, might not. It might come back in a different form, it might not. And let's not forget that even since the beginning of the protests, where the physical presence of the morality police has been a little bit less visible, there are plainclothes regime elements across public spaces that are basically doing the same job as the morality police was doing. There are millions of videos being circulated across Iranian users and social media to show how a plainclothes regime elements in metros, in buses, in the streets, in restaurants are doing exactly the same thing, harassing women for the way that they decided to choose their outfit in public. So implementation might change, we don't know yet, but as long as the law and the regulation is there, it doesn't really make much of a difference whether the implementation is under a different name, whether it's done by plainclothes or officials.
Analyst Sarah Bazubandi from the German Giga Institute, thank you.